I was watching these videos at 12 and like watching women manspread. I was like, get Gloria Steinem on the horn because feminism is here. Can somebody give me Judith Butler's number? I've got to send her a link. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carly. I'm in a crazy mood. I tried to film this video yesterday and it was just bad. Like I was just being boring. You have those days where you're just like, I'm boring today. And I had a breakdown because of it, because I filmed for like an hour and a half and then was watching the footage back and was like, God, I'm being fucking boring. Which is fine, that's my mental illness to tackle this year. I mean, I won't tackle it this year because my 2025 New Year's resolution is to do a low buy year and not buy clothes and makeup and stuff. So that's 2025, but then 2026, I'll tackle why I think I need to be entertaining to deserve life. All that's to say is, I did this yesterday, it was bad. I'm refilming it because I think it'll be better. And before I came here, I went to a clothing swap, like a, you know, get rid of old clothes and swap moment at my podcast co-host's house, Blair, and she made mimosas and I had 2 mimosas and I don't really drink and I got a little drunk and I'm not drunk anymore. I don't think I'm drunk anymore, but I feel like I've got the vibe still going, so I want to do that. So let's do it. So today I'm making a video about Buzzfeed, but not just Buzzfeed in general, like Buzzfeed video specifically. I want to focus on the YouTube accounts and shows that Buzzfeed did, the people that made the content, the types of content they made, and where these people are now. I'm focusing on 4 main kind of success stories / the main content that I think of when I think of Buzzfeed. I made an original script that was long and boring, and I think I've cut it down to the interesting parts. This video has almost killed me, and that's of my own volition. Like, nobody's on their hands and knees begging for a historical account of Buzzfeed video, but I want to watch it so bad. And I kept looking for a video like this, and everyone was talking a lot more about like Buzzfeed and the listicles of it all. Like, Buzzfeed was made to be an online popularity contest, and a lot of the content on its website focused mainly on like memes and listicles and quizzes. So people would focus on that aspect, and that's valid, but I was looking specifically for content about Buzzfeed video. So that's what we're gonna do today. Flyover overview of Buzzfeed video, the content they made, some of the main shows and channels that they put forward, and where those people are now. That's what we're gonna talk about. I'm f***ing excited. I think that Buzzfeed has influenced the way video content is online. I think they've basically, like, if not invented, popularized the way that like a lot of content, short form or long form, is. And I think that that's interesting and important. And I just want to talk about it because now they're doing all like AI generated content and I think that's fucking boring. And I want to remember the golden days when they actually gave people jobs. But before we get into the rest of the video and the Buzzfeed lore, I just wanted to take a quick moment and thank this video's sponsor, Typology. Typology is a French skincare brand that is vegan and cruelty-free with everything made in France. They aim to keep only the essentials in their products, with over 80% of their ingredients coming from a natural origin. Some of my faves from Typology is their tinted trio. I'm wearing it right now. It is their serum, concealer, and lip balm. They are actually hybrid products, which means they give long-term skincare benefits and immediate visual effects. And their brand new tinted lip, wait, I'm gonna put it on. It contains ceramides and hyaluronic acid, so it's super, super hydrating. It comes in 4 shades. This one I'm wearing right now is, it's rosewood pink, and it's refillable. So once you use up this, you just order a refill and you don't have to waste as much packaging. The tinted serum has the active ingredients of vitamin C and squalene. Their concealer reduces puffiness, dark circles, and redness, and has the active ingredients caffeine and niacinamide. So if Typology sounds good to you, go to the link in my description below, shop Typology, and receive a free bi-phase makeup remover with 1% pea peptides and castor oil if you purchase over $40 or more. Again, go to the link in my description below to shop Typology, and if you spend $40 or more, you get a free bi-phase makeup remover with 1% pea peptides and castor oil. Thank you so much to Typology for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. So let's do it. So first we need to talk about the content. In the beginning, around like 2012, the Buzzfeed video YouTube channel is basically just video content made to bolster the content that was already on the website. So it would be like videos listing things that have already been listed in a listicle. A lot of list in that sentence. But the listicle would be like everything you need to know about poop. And hey, fair enough, I'd click the out of that. And then it would just be like text on screen being like, if your poop is black, you should go to a doctor. Pew, pew, pew. If your poop is brown, that's good. That's what like all these videos would be. And they would also have like cute animal stuff as well, which always works online. Like, I'm sorry. So it wasn't like a unique video footprint on YouTube, but it was basically just used to like bolster the content that was already on their website. BuzzFeed's content is basically made to go viral. Like the creator, Jonah Peretti, just basically wanted to create a formula that allowed for things to go viral. And he figured out that the way that you can do that is for something to have a very clear and concise headline, basically. Something that draws on identity and social identity. So talks about friendships and how we relate to each other, or, you know, what it means to be, it relates to being queer or woman or whatever. It has to be something that people want to share with their friends. It's not just something that they find interesting, it's something that will make them think of friends and share it. They weren't doing that in video content yet, but it makes sense that once we get around 2012, 2013, and like YouTubers start to like be a thing, that they're looking to like create video content that can go viral in the same way they've been creating just static internet content, if that makes sense. So BuzzFeed's business model when it comes to video content is basically they get creative people because they're based in New York and LA, and there's a ton of like over-educated people with like a degree in video production or in theater. So you get those creative people, you pay them a salary, and you get them to create content for you based on their own knowledge and their own lives. This makes sense for like a plethora of reasons because social media content kind of only works if you're like personal. You need to be like mining trauma, mining experiences almost constantly, or like, why would I care? And also like, you can always tell when social media content is being made for people that aren't the ones making it. Like very like, how do you do fellow kids? You can always tell when somebody is like on the social media team, but they don't consume social media. So like, it makes sense if you want to make videos, just hire people who watch a ton of social media content. And BuzzFeed's always been very big on appealing to what they call the bored at work network, basically like millennials who are bored at work. Everybody has office jobs, and like 50% of the day they're doing their job, and the other 50% of their day they're on like Facebook or email sending things to each other. So let's create content for people who are bored, and then they can send it to other people who are bored, and then we cash our check and become absolutely wealthy. It makes sense to like hire people who are young 20-somethings who are also maybe a part of the bored at work network, who get sent content, who know what would go viral and what people want to see. And again, you're based in New York and LA. There's a crazy amount of like aspiring actors, writers, filmmakers, all that shit. It's really attractive to have a steady paycheck. Like that is one reason why I think this model worked for a long time. In a creative field, it's nice to get paid and not be like working paycheck to paycheck, contract to contract, which a lot of work in creative fields are, like to have a job, to be able to maybe get health insurance, that kind of thing. I mean, I live in Canada, but like I assume that health insurance would be a big thing just based on like the slayings of CEOs, which nothing but love and light on that choice. This also worked because it's like 2012 and nobody really wants to be a YouTuber yet. Like to be a YouTuber is inherently shameful. Like it is. Now, like the number one job kids want when they grow up is YouTuber, which is dark. We don't have time to unpack that. I went to like get a gift for my nephew. You know how they used, like when you're growing up, there was like toys that were like kitchen set, and it's a plastic kitchen and you can pretend to be in the kitchen, or like a toolbox and you can pretend to be a construction worker. They had a like plastic vlogging set. So kids can pretend to be a vlogger. Jail time for whoever invented that, because that is dystopian. But in 2010, nobody wanted to be a YouTuber. It was kind of shameful. It was seen as like lame. When people were starting to get like rich and famous off of it, they were still rich and famous, but it was seen very much as lesser. It was like in like the 50s, TV stars were seen as like much like less than a movie star. It was seen as like a lesser art form, and I feel like that's kind of like an apt comparison of like, you can't argue that it was making people successful, but it wasn't like cool. It was lame. You would do it like secretly and hope nobody found out. So that's good, because the number one issue with BuzzFeed's business model, besides the fact that it's like a content factory and it's a media company, so like it is going to like have incredible issues with like the way that it treats its employees. As always, it just overworks and underpays its employees, but that's not what we're talking about. The number one issue is that this depends on talent, because they're starring in videos and people are forming a parasocial relationship with them because they're starring in videos and they're like mining their own content for the video, like their lives. So it's like, not only are they acting, they're they're being called by their own name and minding their own relatable lives. So you're gonna have like fans of the people. So your biggest concern is that people are gonna leave. And if nobody wants to start their own YouTube channel, they're just using this as a job, then nobody's gonna leave. So in the early days, that's not really a problem yet, because in 2010, to be a YouTuber is a fate worse than death. Like, it's the equivalent of being a birthday party clown. And honestly, like, clowns go to like clown school and like study in France. YouTubers just don't get enough attention as a child, or get too much attention. They're overpraised. So actually that's offensive to clowns for me to say that. And I'm sorry to the clown community. So Buzzfeed basically is a content factory where it hires these people. They pitch ideas for videos, write those videos, produce those videos, meaning they cast people from The Office to be in the video, they get the props, all that stuff. They star in people's videos. They also film other people's videos or their own videos, and then you edit the video. Everybody's doing like every job, and they're starring in people's content at work. And you're basically, in the beginning, they were creating 1 video a week. That was the quota that you had to meet. But as your career at Buzzfeed went along, it would be more. I've worked at like a content factory before. Nothing but love, nothing but great things to say. Because I did sign a contract when I quit. So like, there's not a lot I can say without being in litigation. But what is interesting about content factories is that your quota can only grow. Like, I would get in so much for being so slow when I had to make videos, because I used to have to make like financial literacy TikToks. And it was because I realized, like, okay, it used to be like we'd make 3 TikToks a week. But then I realized if I made all 3 TikToks early, like if I finished all my work by Wednesday, they'd just be like, great, make 2 more. And you're not paid per video, you're just paid a salary. And I was like, well, then why would I do this fast if I'm just gonna get more work done? And I know that like that's a personality failing for me, being like, well, why the would I work fast if I'm just gonna get more work? Like, some people like enjoy working. Couldn't be me. I hate working. It feels bad. I never ever want to do it, ever. But that's one of the problems, like these insane quotas in content factories, where basically to get a job, you have to show that you're really fast and really good at what you do. And then you have to continue to be really, really fast, make things that do well online, and make a lot. Buzzfeed also had a fellowship program where basically they would like hire interns, give them 3 months to prove that they should hire them, like for paying them nothing, and having these interns, like what they would say, because I've consumed actually exorbitant amounts of Buzzfeed content now, like the amount of podcasts I've listened to with ex-Buzzfeed employees, like I'm never getting that time back. I've spent so much of my time on God's green earth like doing that, and that's fine. But I was listening to an interview with Ryan Bagara, who is one of the founders of Watcher and created Buzzfeed Unsolved. He was a Buzzfeed like fellow, and he called it the Hunger Games and said that Buzzfeed is an evil company, and basically like you're in competition with all of your friends, but you also need to work together with your friends. It's very f***ed up. But he would also say like he was able to get hired because he would come in on the weekends to edit videos, but not log those hours. So even though it took him, let's say 8 hours to do a video, he would say he did it in less time and basically do like a more unpaid work to be like, look how fast I am. And that seems like a bad incentive. Like, don't work for a content factory. They don't care about you. It's just not good. That's the business model. There's 2 major kinds of content that they made at Buzzfeed: relatable sketches and trying things content. So the relatable sketches are basically like the prototype for TikTok POV content, where it's like, POV, your friend is blonde and you're brunette. It was that, except it was really kind of professionally shot YouTube videos where people would like play themselves, but be like, when you're a short girl who only dates tall girls, and then it'd be like little scenes of that. Okay? These are identity specific and based on the creator's real lives. Like, you mine your life and your ideas for content, but Buzzfeed owns the ideas. One of the major creators that I can think of in the relatable sketches lane of Buzzfeed are the 2 members of Just Between Us, who are Allison Raskin and Gabe Dunn. Again, they're like everybody who kind of like is kind of famous after Buzzfeed, famous because they left, or they were fired by BuzzFeed, I believe. Basically, they're like a comedy duo. I think they became a comedy duo. They got like hired at BuzzFeed to make videos, and they made a ton of videos together, basically along the lines of like the tame friend versus the wild friend. People ate this shit up. They shared the f out of these videos, but it was a lot of content based around like friendship. When one of your friends is super outgoing, but your other friend isn't. When one friend is passive aggressive and the other one loves conflict, that's the vibe of these. You can see the TikTok POVs, like as I'm explaining it. And they got really famous on BuzzFeed for making content basically about being best friends. And also kind of like girl friendship. Gabe has since come out as non-binary post BuzzFeed, but at the time they identified as a woman, and a lot of the content surrounding what they made was like just two girls being friends. So they revealed in their Why I Left BuzzFeed video, they left BuzzFeed to create their own channel, Just Between Us, where they do like podcasts, and they originally did sketches and web series. I think now it's mainly podcast episodes that they do, and they're still making content, which is kind of crazy. They revealed that the reason they left BuzzFeed was actually because they were fired because they started producing their own web series, and that was in direct competition with BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed fired them. And none of their friends, because like their entire lives was their work, all of their friends worked at BuzzFeed, and none of their friends, because they still worked at BuzzFeed, were allowed to be in the web series because they would also be fired. Wild, cuckoo bananas. The reason they decided to make their own web series is because so much of their content was so personal to them and their own experiences, and it made you nervous to share and pitch ideas from your life, because a lot of these people were like aspiring writers and filmmakers, and were like, well, what if I want to use that experience that happened to me later in a script? BuzzFeed is going to claim that they own it, and then what the am I supposed to do? And they didn't own any of their ideas that they made while they were at BuzzFeed, but like BuzzFeed did not only own all your ideas that you pitched at work, it would also basically own any work that you did even when you weren't like actively working at BuzzFeed. So if you were like doing stuff after hours, BuzzFeed still claimed to like own those ideas in contract, which is wild. But okay, while I was going down the rabbit hole of Just Between Us, I found a little bit of drama that I thought was interesting. They had a massive friendship breakup in October 2019. Again, these are two people whose entire content is based on being best friends, and like the selling point and the niche is like female friendship, like yes, just between us girls, oh, what it's like to be a friend that's a girl. And they had a massive friendship breakup in 2019, and they hid it from their fan base for like 2 years. They just continued to do the podcast, pretending to be friends, never talking about it, but not talking outside of the podcast at all because they did not like each other. They revealed this in a video that's still on the channel called Why We Stopped Being Friends. That's a wild watch. It's actually really interesting, like anthropologically. They're nice to each other, but they're obviously angry about whatever the reason they had their massive friendship breakup. They don't talk about it because I think they were saying like it involves other people, not just them. And like, I guess it's not necessarily their story to tell, but still, wild that the content that they're making, the basis of the podcast is based on friendship, and the two members for like 2 years were not friends and just pretending to be friends. They tried to quit the podcast like 5 times over the course of those years, and then their manager was just like, be so for real, like come into work. Their content now, they still do the podcast. They've like made up to a certain extent, but they're not very, very close. They still do the podcast, and they do like some short form videos or whatever. The content is weirdly hostile still. It's kind of joking, but like there's one that I think of specifically where Allison is filming Gabe and is like, do you think it's funny that we started making content based on female friendship and now you don't identify as a woman and we're not friends? Which is objectively hilarious to say, but you're like, it gives the vibes of like you are angry, like you do not like each other, but maybe they do. I don't know. Nevertheless, it's incredibly complicated. Beyond just still having a podcast together, Allison wrote a book about modern marriage, and they have a rom-com book coming out this year, like 2025. They also went viral. Allison went viral in 2021. That's what I was reading, because her fiance ghosted her and she posted about it on TikTok. The series of videos is basically like, my fiance ghosted me, which kind of happened. She got engaged, and then her fiance kind of iced her out, and then came back like a week later and was like, I don't want to get married to you, and just left. It's new fear unlocked, which is awesome. So that's what Allison has been up to. Gabe was a writer on Big Mouth, the Netflix comedy series, and recently had a short go through the festival circuit. Seems like they're making films and writing and stuff like that. Another big player from the relatable sketches era is Quinta Brunson. Avi, for sure, the most successful BuzzFeed alumni, like by miles. Quinta is winning Emmys and hosting SNL. Abbott Elementary is like a great show. I thought because it was like a network comedy, it'd be like bad. It's funny. I'm happy. It's so nice to see someone like that, like truly have mainstream success for like good work. But Quinta went viral and did a series of videos on BuzzFeed under the name of like girl who's never been on a nice date. So it'd be just like a series of short sketches about being on bad dates based on her experiences in the dating scene. And people were like, she's funny. Like she is also just like reacting in time to them. They're very funny videos. I mean, like if you watch them now, you're like, it's a time capsule of a time, but obviously there's talent talent there. So she did sketches like that, appeared in different people's sketches, and just was on the channel until like 2018. She left in 2018 when she booked a pilot for the CW show called The End of the World as We Know It. So she left once she basically had like confirmed work, which is rare for BuzzFeed employees as we go down this list. Most people leave to start their own YouTube channel, but Quinta left. I think Quinta seemed pretty interested in mainstream traditional success and left when she had work because traditional like media can be so spotty and unstable. So the show didn't get picked up. She also produced a web series in 2018 called Quinta versus Everything, which aired on Facebook. In 2019, she starred in Black Lady Sketch Show, which was a comedy show featuring sketches written entirely by Black women. And then in 2021, Abbott Elementary came out, which she co-created or created, wrote in, starred in, won a bunch of Emmys. Love her. What's interesting about Quinta is that she seems to be on very good terms with BuzzFeed in general. They like interview her still now, like when she does the press run for Abbott Elementary. In 2018, she made a video like called Why I Left BuzzFeed, which is a standard for BuzzFeed employees when they leave. They'll often make a video called Why I Left BuzzFeed, but she made it on the BuzzFeed channel, which is interesting. A lot of people from this era made identity-specific sketches. Some are like, things straight girls do that drive you crazy, and how did you know you were gay? Which is like how I found a lot of BuzzFeed content. Like if you're like a queer child and you don't know any gay people, like there was no gay adults in my life, I would just like search like lesbian on YouTube and then just like watch whatever the came up. Am I gay? And then I would watch like, it'd be a video like the 7 lesbians you meet at a party, and I'm 12 and haven't met any out gay people, and I've never been to a party because I'm 12, but I'm watching these videos like, absolutely, this is the 7 lesbians you would meet at a party, I assume. So that's how I found a lot of BuzzFeed content. It would be like very identity specific, like things white people say to Black people that drive them crazy. And a lot of these creators are comedians, writers, actors, like people who have like interests in like traditional media. The second type of content that BuzzFeed makes is the trying things genre. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's like blank tries blank. Obviously the Try Guys are one of the most popular creators from this format and did it at BuzzFeed to like crazy levels of success. Their first video was posted in September 12th, 2014, and it's called Guys Try on Ladies Underwear for the First Time. It's got like a strong pitch out the gate, and then the people just do what it says for the first time and react, and they're like, oh, well, this underwear is not what I usually wear, feels weird. That's basically what it is. Some other video titles of note are People Use a Bidet for the First Time, Americans Try Asian Liquor for the First Time, Chinese People Try Panda Express for the first time, Dudes Try Complimenting Each Other, Women Go Bald for the Day, Women Try Bath Bombs for the first time, Women Oil Their Pubic Hair for the first time, and We Painted With Our Period Blood. The latter, that video went viral and everyone hated it. So these videos are literally just people experiencing things for the first time, whether or not it's true or not. I think a lot of employees have come out later saying like a lot of them are lies for content. Like people try Lunchables for the first time and then you've had a Lunchable before, but you're just like, what's this? And you just kind of act it out for content because these quotas are so intense. Like you don't have time to do an extended casting process. You're like, who in the office can pretend they have not had a Lunchable? Because that's what we need right now. A lot of these videos are just like good old-fashioned fun. It's just like, oh my god, adults play with 80s toys again? Like it's just like, it's good fun to watch when you're bored. They have a subset that is socially charged. It's like social justice that makes you feel good. Like the point is not to challenge your views on society. It's just supposed to make you feel like, allyship done for the day. Like the Painting with Period Blood, the headline is like, this is helping us stop period stigma. And I don't know if it does. I have arguments against that. They also have videos that are like, women try manspreading. And then women manspreading are like, that's crazy. That was what, to take up space. This was like, again, a lot of this is like feminism specific, because like this was the first time you were allowed to say you were a feminist. And like people were like, okay, you hate men, so you hate men. So it was like really like a statement to say that you were feminist at that point. There's like, women don't wear makeup for the day. And then women would be like, wow, that was crazy. Like it's related to issues of oppression, but doesn't challenge it too much. So there's not a lot of like constructive work it can really do. But again, I was watching these videos at 12 and like watching women manspread, I was like, get Gloria Steinem on the horn because feminism is here. Can somebody give me Judith Butler's number? I've got to send her a link. It was crazy. It was like the most feminist, I was shaken. So at the end of the day, I think it did like do its job. I just don't want you to think that this was activism. So let's talk about the Try Guys. When you talk to a regular person about BuzzFeed, the Try Guys are the people that they know. I think before the scandal, that was just because they ran an incredibly popular YouTube channel that had like mass amounts of appeal. And then later they had a scandal that for some reason got them on national news. I will say, I am in a group called Creators for Palestine, which is a group of different YouTube creators raising money to support relief efforts in Gaza. It's a massive group chat with lots of like huge creators, some that I like grew up watching. And there was only 2 people who, when they entered that group chat, I was starstruck by. Tyler Oakley, who I was obsessed with as a kid and still am. I have a copy of The Great Gatsby signed by Tyler Oakley because I ran into him when I had a copy of The Great Gatsby at 14 and had him sign it. I would not be doing YouTube if Tyler Oakley did not do YouTube. And the other person that starstruck the out of me was Zach Kornfeld from the Try Guys because I was a BuzzFeed bitch. Guys try sexy Halloween costumes. My ass is in my desk chair in the family computer room, ready to take that in. So like, just to say, I'm gonna go through the Try Guys scandals, but like, I love them. So the format of a Try Guys video is simple. It's a group of different guys with different perspectives, different hits, different things that they're interested in. They try something for the first time and give their thoughts while they're actively trying it and then unpack it at the end. As I said before, they were formed on September 12th, 2014 when BuzzFeed uploaded Guys Try On Ladies Underwear for the first time. This went bananas, worked really well. And basically BuzzFeed was like, let's do this until people don't want to see it. And people wanted to fucking see it. I rewatched this first video and it's really interesting. It's weird because it is good. But it was the same experience I had when I was watching Seinfeld, where like, because this is a format that is influenced so much down the line, like with Seinfeld, he like kind of invented like a cadence of stand-up that you see. And with the Try Guys, like they kind of influence like a brand of social media video. So like when you see the original of that, after seeing the copies and the inspiration, people who've taken inspiration from it, it feels like you're watching a parody in a weird way. So it's very good, but it's like strange to watch. It's also shot in this weird way where they're trying on the underwear and they can't like show them putting underwear over their balls and in the video, obviously. So they're behind this sheet and it's kind of shot like Austin Powers. I found out later again from consuming copious amounts of content that this is actually shot by Ryan Bagara of Buzzfeed Unsolved. He was like a cinematographer at Buzzfeed for a really long time before he started doing more like starring in more content, which is really like a fun overlap and very strange. So this video got 22 million views. All of the guys, Eugene Yi Lang, Ned Fulmer, Keith Habersberger, and Zach Kornfield all have like chemistry. What's interesting in this first video is they haven't clearly defined their hits yet. I think they've realized pretty early on. Why am I saying I think? Trying to make it seem like I'm smart. I researched it. I watched an interview with Eugene on Philip DeFranco's podcast. They realized really early on that Eugene looks different and has different opinions from the other 3 Try Guys, but the other 3 Try Guys are just kind of like miscellaneous white guys and kind of look similar. So they needed to clearly define different lanes so that they each kind of had a niche and a hit to just make them different. So what they landed on is basically Eugene is very theatrical and dramatic. Zach is like fun, and he was single at the time, so he was like a fun single guy. Keith is very like goofy and likes food and stuff like that, and Ned is wife guy. I think those choices will be good. Nothing will come back to bite them in the ass there. At the time that they were shooting these videos, Ned was getting engaged and he was planning a wedding. And when you plan a wedding, it takes up like every moment of your waking life. So it makes sense to pick that hit while you're going through it because like, you're like, well, the only thing I think about is my wedding and my wife. So that's my thing. Yeah. Awesome! Other videos they made during this time are Try Guys Try Drag for the first time, got 38 million views. Try Guys Try Makeup Tutorials, 16 million views. Try Guys Try Pregnancy Bellies, 33 million views. The Try Guys Try Labor Pain Simulation, 35 million views. When they were at Buzzfeed, they were at Buzzfeed for 4 years, they made 119 videos. For comparison, I've been doing YouTube for about 4 years. I have made, including this video, 80 videos. Maybe a bit more that I've deleted or taken off the channel, but like 119 videos, that's a crazy output to me. That is insane. And they're not like seeing the ad revenue from those videos. Buzzfeed is monetizing them. They're getting paid a salary, probably a more competitive salary as they move on there because Buzzfeed would be incentivized to keep them. But still, they had a lot of resources, which I noticed in a lot of different interviews with different former Buzzfeed employees. They talked about how the Try Guys had like their own crew and their own editors, and those videos are shot in a really high quality way. They get to do things that would be more expensive. Like they are the prize pig. They also got to, as their time continued on, make more content on BuzzFeed that strayed from this niche. They had the Try Vlog, which is a vlog of the Try Guys. Keith's wedding was on the channel. They had like a wedding video. Eugene would rank things. Keith would eat the entire menu of a place. They would take these series and later put them on their own channel. Zach began to make more personal content about his autoimmune disease and would make some vlog style content. And Ned would make content about love and relationships. Kind of insane. He had this series that was short-lived called Ship It, which was basically like couples try stuff. It's like Try Guys, but couples. Safiya Nygaard and her husband now, Tyler, were in a couple videos, and it's so strange to watch. You should watch these videos because Ned is the host. First of all, they have him like filming, but he's also the host, and it just seems like they've given him a prop camera, even though they are shooting B-roll on the camera, where he's like asking them like, what do you want your girlfriend to wear? And he's filming it. And like knowing what we know now, you're like, why the is this guy giving them relationship advice? So about their clearly defined roles, Devin Little, who is a member of Ladylike, said on a podcast, I want to read a direct quote about this. So when you have this insane quota, you just go with the common denominator. You go with the lowest hanging fruit of what you are. If you're trying to like synthesize yourself into a log line. BuzzFeed was expecting a lot from people back in 2014, 2015 already, when they were in a much better position, but the exploitation just got worse and worse. So basically just the thing that you are thinking about and going through at the moment you become viral can become your prison. But also like at any given point, he could have diversified his thing. Anyways, let's talk about leaving BuzzFeed. In 2018, the Try Guys formed a production company and basically left BuzzFeed to create their own separate YouTube channel. They wanted to make their own content, but also like produce different kinds of videos, have more control. They spent their life savings starting this company, and I believe also buying the name Try Guys, which is major. People who have left BuzzFeed since like did not get to buy the name of the thing that they created. And the Try Guys did, which I think is major for the success of the company immediately, because people are just gonna search up Try Guys again, and then your stuff will come up. You don't have to like think of a second name, which I think is really valuable. But basically they were just tired of BuzzFeed owning their work when they're doing a considerable amount of work. So they created their own YouTube channel. They hit 1 million subscribers in like a week, which is insane. Their first new series was about Ned becoming a new dad, and everybody used this basically to branch out and diversify their like hit. They didn't want to be like the same kind of packaged version of themselves that gets to do one thing. So Keith did more stuff with his comedy troupe and did a lot of food stuff. His wife was also on the channel as well, but like the content didn't revolve around their relationship in the same way. But he was doing comedy song stuff, comedy troupe stuff, and food stuff. He created his own like hot sauce. Zach got a girlfriend and eventually a fiance, and his content for a long time was about being single. He also got really vulnerable on the channel and wasn't just like the fun guy, also talked about the struggles of living with chronic pain and things like that, and just was very vulnerable. He did a series, I believe, where he got like a treatment that's supposed to encourage hair growth, and talking about like the struggles of if you are like a cis man with losing your hair, like that's tough. And it's very vulnerable, but very interesting. Great video. Eugene came out in like 2018, which I feel like is crazy. I've retconned that in my brain that we always knew Eugene was gay, but I guess not. But he came out, did content about being gay. He did drag. He did lots of stuff about mental health and mental health advocacy, things like that. Just in general, in addition to his other stuff, being very theatrical and having a very dark sense of humor. And Ned's content was still very much like wife and dad guy, and his like diversification of his brand was just more lifestyle family stuff, which is hubris. Like Icarus honey, Icarus, I feel like you might be flying too close to the sun. They also created an extended Try Guys universe with their friends and family. They had a podcast called The Tripod, and Miles, who was an intern at the time and the producer of The Tripod, would oftentimes, like, you know, get in on the mics. Keith would do Eat the Menu, and he had his production team called the Food Babies would have like a separate series and also appear in that video talking about eating the food after Keith had eaten the food. They had a podcast called You Can Sit With Us, which was the Try Guys' wives talking on the podcast. Basically, they hired a bunch of people to help with the production of it all and kind of continued the Buzzfeed model, but you have to assume with less exploitation. But they created this basically extended Try Guys universe with their friends and family and really monetized their lives in like a strange, like not a strange way, but like in a way that like stresses me out. It obviously has worked beyond the Ned situation, but like I really don't ever post about personal stuff here. And I used to do vlogs and I had to stop because someone sent me a picture of my boyfriend's house. They were just like sent Instagram DM, raw, no comment, just a picture of my boyfriend's front door. And I was like, well, I'm never gonna vlog again. He doesn't live there, by the way. If that stalker is watching, you can't kill him. But like, so it stresses me out to monetize your life in this way, but obviously there are pluses to it because they're much more successful YouTubers than I am. Let's talk about 2019. Horrible year for BuzzFeed, great year for the Try Guys. This was the year at BuzzFeed they went through mass layoffs, which are basically attributed to like the beginning of the end for the company. It destroyed company morale and destroyed the vibes at BuzzFeed because a lot of people's really close friends and people who you'd spent years and years together with got laid off, and they weren't replaced with people, so everyone's workload got worse. So not only are your friends gone, you get way more work, and anytime you complain about it, they're like, well, you're lucky to have a job. So while that's going on at BuzzFeed, Try Guys are having the year of their lives. They release a best-selling book together, they go to BidCon, sell out like all their meet and greets, their channel is growing crazy, and they have a sold-out tour. There's a documentary on their channel about the tour that's an interesting watch. I did take an edible when I watched this, so I think this information is right, but I don't want to own it. It's about their Legends of the Internet tour, and basically when you're like a YouTuber on tour, you have to like think of what to do because like you can't just do it, perform your YouTube. You have to figure out like what that looks like, what are you gonna do? And what they do is they have different sections for each guy, and they're each a different legend of the internet with a different hit, and they do a series based on that. So Eugene is the legend of gay, does this very theatrical performance. Zach is the legend of fun. Keith is the legend of food. And Ned is the legend of love. And his section of the show is him giving love advice. Isn't that sweet? And like, I don't want to hit the mark of him and his infidelity too much. I think he deserves it. Like, nothing pisses me off more than people who cheat on their partners after their partners like bear children for them. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Was your partner's body getting ripped open by childbirth? Was that hard for you? It must have been really hard for you. It must have been really hard. So I have no sympathy in that way, but I feel bad for his wife. I think that sucks. And I think that relationships are more complicated. Obviously, at the end of the story, they are seemingly still together, and relationships and families are complicated. So I hold no judgment towards her. So I'm trying to be nicer. Now, also an interesting thing in this video is that Zach talks about how there's tension because Zach has taken down a video off of the YouTube that his new girlfriend, Maggie, who I believe he's married to now, is in. And the reason he took it down is because Maggie was getting a crazy amount of hate. And there's some tension with the other Try Guys because they're like, we wish you would have like ran it by us, because like, again, taking a video down basically means you're not making any money off of it, so it's like a bunch of hours of unpaid work. So I think you can be like, I understand why you took it down, and I would do this 100%. If something like that was causing my partner so much pain, I would react the same way. But I think it's also fair for the other Try Guys to be like, we should have had a conversation about this probably. But what Ned says, he's really mad about this. He says that his wife has gotten way more hate, and that he would never take down a video that his wife was getting hate in. And it's like, okay, that's not like a flex though. Being like, I let my wife suffer. She can deal with it. It's just like, bro, okay. Now let's talk about the controversy. In 2022, September, wild way to say it, but I'm saying it that way anyways, fans in the Try Guys subreddit begin to point out that Ned is being edited out of videos. And they're like, why? A little bit later, a Reddit poster posts blurry photos of Ned and his employee. I'm not gonna say the employee's name, because again, like, obviously, yes, infidelity, wrong. You know what's worse? Fucking your employee. What the f is wrong with you? The poster is thought to be the employee's fiance, ex-fiance, which is juicy drama. It is a little bit of a juicy, I give them that. People are like, so is Ned and his wife getting a divorce? Like, what's happening? Then more photos are leaked of them on the streets of New York and at a Harry Styles concert. Don't cheat on your wife at the Harry Styles concert, bro. Like, I can't explain why that image is so troubling to me. I just hate it. If somebody can like put a finger on why that is so troubling to me, like I would be so mad. I'd be like, they did a Harry Styles concert? Do it in like a dark club, which they did. But you know what I mean? There's photos of them like embracing and kissing. So people are like, what's going on? And again, this is an employee that like is in content on the Try Guys channel. So people in the Try Guys fandom are like, what? On September 27th, the Try Guys confirm in a statement on their Twitter that Ned is no longer a part of the group. Let me just say my 2 cents about this. He abused his power. I don't think a relationship between a boss and an employee can ever be 100% consensual, especially at a company this size, quite small, where your boss is HR, is an owner of the company, and is famous. I don't think you can ever have something be truly consensual in that way. This is not me being like dangerous, whatever, but it's an abuse of power, period. And it's disgusting. And it's loser. Like, don't be a loser. And that's the problem with it. Like, this goes viral. People are talking about it on the news. There's an SNL skit about it. And I'll say skit. Like, people in comedy know sketches are good and skits are bad. And this is a skit. Like, let's call it what it is. And people were like, the premise of that skit and the premise of a lot of the news coverage was like, why the should anybody care about this? A guy cheated on his wife. Like, why do we care about this? And I agree that it's funny because internet lore told to you out of context where you don't know anything is inherently funny. But the bigger thing is like, we should care because a boss slept with his employee when he was HR. Like, if this happened at Facebook, people would be like, Mark, you cannot do that. Also, why are you the HR representative of Facebook? So that's why it's wrong. Like, let's say that. Like, it's obviously infidelity is wrong, but people don't get removed from their company for cheating on their wives. People get removed from their company for a gross misuse of power. And this was an expensive thing. Like, surely they had to buy him out of his ownership of the company. But this is what you have to do when like you're jeopardizing the operation. People also said, just a side note, that the SNL sketch was written as like a supportive piece for Ned because a writer on SNL went to Yale at the same time Ned did. And this is not true. Like, this is a child's explanation of how things work. Like, SNL is not in the business of writing celebrity PR. Like, not for the Try Guys. Maybe they do that for someone else, but not for the Try Guys. Like, that's not what happened. Ned did not bribe a random writer at SNL to write a sketch. Because even if the writer did write that sketch, it doesn't have to go on air. Like, there's a lot of levels of bribery that would have to happen that I don't think he was in the position to be doing. Later, the Try Guys make a statement on their YouTube channel. It's got a lot of like legalese, very obviously like written by like a law team to just tell people what's going on without incriminating themselves as they go through like this legal process of removing Ned from the company. One thing of note is that Eugene looks pissed. It's really beautiful. It's like an oil painting. Like, Zach and Keith are like, this is hard. And then Eugene is just like, he's so mad. It's very funny. Then in a later Tripod episode, they say that they found out 3 weeks before the news went public and they hired an external HR team to review the situation and then knew that Ned could not work with them anymore and went through the process of legally removing him from the company. So they went through it in a way that totally makes sense. And they gave the employee the option to stay, I believe, and she chose not to. Now, the reason this spiraled out of control is that Ned's entire brand is based around being a wife guy. And then the second you destroy that, there's nothing left. Like, he wrote a cookbook with his wife. His content was like house renovation and dad content and wife content. Like, you can't watch it and forget what happened. You can oftentimes separate the art from the artist as long as the art is not a direct representation of the bad thing that the artist did, if that makes sense. Like, you can't watch this stuff and forget about him cheating on his wife because he mentions his wife like every 5 seconds. So I think that's mainly why the fallout happened. The next big event in Try Guys lore is Eugene's exit. So it's smooth sailing for 2 years. I am not a crook. Richard Nixon. On May 22nd, 2024, Rolling Stones reports that Eugene is leaving the Try Guys and the Try Guys will continue on as a duo. Because the last time the Try Guys were in the news, it was about Ned, people assume that this had wait, it was somehow related to that. Keith says in a statement 2 years ago, right before this all happened, we were trying to look for ways to let Eugene finally work on these projects he hadn't been able to work on because of his commitment to helping us build the business. He's had these movie scripts and TV scripts and book ideas before we met him, but he did not have the power or means to be able to make those things. So they were trying to get him to leave before Ned cheated on his wife and had sex with an employee. And then that happened. And then Eugene not only has to deal with the fallout of that, but stay to stabilize the company after your other co-founder can't chill for what? Got bored in the pandemic. He got bored and blew up not only his life, but the company. I'm sorry. I'm getting hated over something that's not my business and people's lives are complicated. Like, I understand that. Like, if I was watching this video, I'd be like, girl, let's chill. It's just like loser shit. Second of all, I would be so mad at if I was working with somebody and they, for no reason other than the fact that they're bored, jeopardized the entire company that we spent our life savings on building. Like, I would lose my mind. And from Eugene's perspective, you're going through appropriate pathways to leave the company, and you can't do that because your co-founder couldn't think over his actions for 1 second. That's why he looks so pissed in the video. It adds a lot of context. So Eugene has left the Try Guys. He does come back and star in content every now and then, which I think is really nice. He's writing a fantasy novel series called The Unders, making a graphic novel, writing and directing a movie, and he's doing like voice acting. He's producing an animated series called Nimona. He was also in Brooklyn Nine-Nine recently. He's working on a lot of projects. I'm happy for him. So let's talk about the current Try Guys content. So they are rebranding to Second Try, which I guess makes sense because now they've grown. Keith and Zach are still a part of it, but they've now grown to like a greater cast of characters. They have Ash from the scripted content before. They have like a crazy amount of people. They've also hired Miles, who used to produce the podcast. He quit to become an independent creator and do his own YouTube channel and his own podcast before he was rehired. So he quit the Try Guys, got rehired as a person to just star in content. And he also said when Ned got fired on his Patreon that he fucking hated that guy. So that was funny. They also created their own streaming service. We'll talk about the streaming service later because streaming service and Buzzfeed, you know what's gonna happen. They also have a successful Patreon, and every once in a while there'll be like a Reddit post being like, the Try Guys are over, but like their videos get millions of views. I think they're fine. But we do have to talk about current drama I found out while researching this that happened like literally in December that we have to talk about. Zach got into beef with the Disney adults. I love theme park YouTube videos. I was so excited to see that this happened. Just like good fun. Nobody's hurt in the process. I had to watch a video. It's by Brennan Beckwith. I'll link it in the description below. He goes through like all of the different, like he watches the video in particular that got Zach in beef with the Disney adults and breaks down like why the things are bad. Because there's a lot of like unsaid rules at Disney that I didn't know were like a thing. And it's also just funny. He would like watch it and be like, ugh, and then go, I sound like a cop. Funny. I would recommend watching that video. I really enjoyed it. So basically the Try Guys have a series that's like a scavenger hunt in different cities, and different areas open up as like the day goes by, and there's stuff that you have to do. It's impossible to do it all, but it's point based. So you're basically trying to get the most points by the end of the day and beat the other team. So they did this at Disney World, okay? And Zach specifically comes under fire for a couple reasons. There's like, you get certain points for like riding certain rides, but the problem is like at Disney, there's long lines. So what he would do to beat the time constraint is go up to like the front of the line where like the fast pass lightning lane is, I guess, and ask if he could skip the lines. It is awkward to watch, like some of the but like the employees probably get asked this all the time. It puts the workers in an awkward position. There's like full kids in line. And it's also cheating in the scavenger hunt because there's a budgetary restriction, right? You can only spend like, let's say $500 a day. To do fast passes in Disney now, you have to buy them, which is kind of insane. So like, time is money there. So to skip the line is to like basically shoplift Disney merchandise is kind of the argument that some people are making. And it's cheating is the idea. I don't really care about a lot of this. I do hate line skipping. I'm like, we live in a society, mama. Not to him, but if somebody skips in line in front of me, oh my God, what are we, animals? Like, why are you doing this to me? But I also think that like Disney adults really like to, and not derogatory. I'm not saying that in a derogatory sense. I think they like to protect the space that they deem to be like important and magical. So a lot of these rules are enforced as a way to like keep this nice place that they enjoy nice. I have not been to Disney World since I was 8, I feel like. I kind of want to go back now. Watching this video, I was like, am I a Disney adult? I feel like I might be. 2 other things that he did was he asked for magic from a cast member. This is the Disney rule that I didn't know. So there's basically cast members at Disney. If they see someone like being really nice or cool or just like really nerding out, they'll like give them a magical experience where it'll be like a backstage tour or like a special part of the ride that no one gets to see, or like a sticker or something like that. And this is called magic, and you're never supposed to ask for magic, which I didn't know. So we asked for magic, and the person at the line was like, no. People were upset about this because it's a kind of like, I guess a rule. I didn't know it was a rule, but it's a rule. He also, this is the one that I do think is fair, is he took a call, but they rode the Winnie the Pooh dark ride, which I do remember taking as a kid and loving. I'm a Winnie the Pooh kid before I'm a human woman, before I'm a human being. And this ride rocks. It's about a blustery day. Let's talk about it. But in the ride, he's vlogging and he takes a phone call and talks loudly, and you can see in the footage that there's people behind them. Here's what I'll say. You go on the video and watch it. It's not like, if you are not a Disney adult, I don't think it will be as egregious to you, because there's like a lot of unsaid rules that you don't really know. Like, besides the talking on the phone, there was it didn't really like raise red flags for me, which is why watching somebody else who knows the ins and outs of Disney like helped walk me through it. But if you go on the video, the pinned comment is Zach addressing it and just taking like really good accountability for it, just being like, I could explain to you what I was thinking, but like I fucked up. Like, it doesn't matter what I was thinking. It comes off as really bad, and I'm sorry. And I was like, accountability. So that's the Try Guys. Now I want to talk to you about Ladylike. Ladylike was my on Buzzfeed. Oh my God. It's a series on Buzzfeed created by Safiya Nygaard, which you might know because she's like a big YouTuber now, and Freddie Ransom. And it's basically BuzzFeed's answer to the Try Guys, but for girls. They make a lot of fashion and beauty content, which I think was major for like elongating BuzzFeed's tenure for like a couple more years, because this was when the internet was really into like beauty. So doing a lot of like Try Guys content, but it's women trying like kitschy kind of like beauty products. It's a slam dunk. It's the Michael Jordan of video content for 12-year-old girls. It's the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of video content for teenagers living in the suburbs. Like, it's just points. So their first video is released in November of 2015. It's called Women Test Long Wear Lipsticks. And basically it's pitched as a video version of a women's magazine. It's just content that you would see in a women's magazine, whether it be like about social issues or personal issues, like personal essays, but like verbal personal essays. It's about fashion, it's about beauty, all those kinds of things that relate to being a woman. You can argue with this definition of a woman, but again, it's 2014? We weren't doing well. Unlike now, where things are awesome. But their most popular content was trying out beauty products or like fashion challenges, being like, women face their fashion fears. Women dress like the 50s for a week. That kind of vibe, okay? Here's what I did notice rewatching some of these videos. Relatable for men is quirky. A lot of times, relatability for women is like, mine your deepest and most affecting traumas. You can't just be like, oh my God, I drop things all the time, I'm clumsy. You have to be like, I had an eating disorder at 12 and it's been really hard ever since. Like, the way these women have to mind their trauma for like 10-minute lipstick content on YouTube, they are stronger than the Marines. So they made videos like, women wear mom jeans for a week. Women try the Kylie Jenner lip kit, what the same outfit looks like on different body types. And women try vintage period belts. Let me walk you through the members. So we have Safiya Nygaard. Safiya was one of the lead producers alongside Freddie Ransom. She rocked. Like, Freddie, I think oftentimes people think that Safiya just created, but Ladylike, Freddie rocks in this content. She's so good at being in a BuzzFeed video. We have Chantal, Jen, Kristen, Devin. Devin I want to point out for two reasons. She was brought on a bit later as a video producer, and also because she played Cho Chang in a Harry Potter musical. People forget that, but I never forgot. This is the information that I have stored up here. Now, what I've noticed is different from Ladylike and the Try Guys is that they don't have specific lanes in the same way that the Try Guys did. Like, they do oftentimes react in the same way, and you can tell which way somebody might react to something, but it's not as clearly defined as the Try Guys. It might be because visually they all look quite different. I don't know. So the first main event in Ladylike lore is Safiya Nygaard leaving BuzzFeed. In January of 2017, Safiya leaves BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed. Fans notice in the beginning of this year that Safiya is sparsely in the content that they're releasing and then eventually just not in at all. And in March, Safiya posts a Why I Left BuzzFeed video to her YouTube, confirming that she is split with BuzzFeed. She lists a couple of reasons. I want to read these. So she pitched Ladylike with Freddie, and they ran it, and basically were the creative directors for this kind of brand, but were not included in any of the higher level decisions for where the brand was going, what channel it would be on, because BuzzFeed had a bunch of different channels, what kind of stuff they were doing. Also, she just said that like the higher ups didn't really get what they were doing. They didn't really understand content for women, even though BuzzFeed's audience was like 70% women at this time. She also wanted more responsibility and wasn't given it. They wanted her to focus on starring in videos and didn't give her more responsibility at the company, didn't give her more room to grow. She also wasn't allowed to reply to comments on Ladylike videos and like engage with the audience in any way. And she didn't want to do that, which is weird. It's a weird rule for BuzzFeed to have, because like you have to engage the audience. It's weird. Also, she was a visible face representing BuzzFeed and had to answer for decisions made by the company that she didn't agree with, and she couldn't like say like, I don't agree with this, I don't have control over this. And finally, massive red flag that she listed that I agree with, it actually sends chills down my spine. They wanted to make merch with her face on it, and basically like own the rights to her name and face for merch. I don't know if you noticed, I am wearing Buzzfeed Unsolved merch that I forgot that I owned. My sister got this for me for Christmas like 5 years ago. It couldn't be 5 years ago, but like maybe. It's not holding up great, and this is the profile of Shane. So, you know, pot calling the kettle black, but the thought of signing away the merch rights to your name and face is actually really scary to me. So I think she did a good job leaving. Now, her departure from BuzzFeed seems weird to me because her departure seems to be the one that pissed off BuzzFeed the most. Maybe it's because she didn't leave with the group to continue Ladylike, but just became a YouTuber. It's weird to me. Maybe just because she's like a woman. I don't know. In the early days of leaving, she had Freddie on her channel to do like a video with her. And then in her Why I Left BuzzFeed video, she confirmed that BuzzFeed would no longer allow any of the Ladylike women, including Freddie, to appear in her videos, but she said they were still friends. Okay? But then the drama begins. In July of 2017, people begin to accuse BuzzFeed and Ladylike specifically of copying Safiya's videos. This is because also like Safiya's videos were doing really, really well at the time. Like basically since leaving BuzzFeed, she was producing a ton of content and it was all getting lots of views. So on January 27th, Safiya posts Cheeto bronzer versus actual Cheetos feet, and this Freddie is in this video. Then on March 1st, Ladylike posts women create snack-inspired makeup looks, and Freddie is in this video. So they're like, whoa, that's the same. On January 31st, Safiya posts creating a custom lipstick at the Bite Lip Lab. On March 25th, BuzzFeed posts, I made my own custom makeup. On March 29th, Safiya posts Silicon Beauty Blender versus Egg, featuring Candace, who used to be in Ladylike content as well. And on the same day, Ladylike posts, women try applying foundation with an egg. Now this one stands out to me as like, doesn't make any sense, because people were accusing them of copying the video, even though if it was released on like the same day or the day after, they can't do that. I've been accused of this and had other people accused of copying me in the same way, that most of the time I'm like, you can't copy someone on YouTube like the day after they post a video because it just takes you too long to make videos. The timeline doesn't add up. On May 24th, Safiya posts, I tried 18-hour lipstick, and she tries the Lip Sense lipstick. And on June 14th, Ladylike posts, we tried 24-hour lipstick, where they tried the Lip Sense lipstick. My 2 cents on this, I don't think they were copying. I think realistically, when Safiya was working at Ladylike, she had a series of places that she looked for beauty news and kind of like buzzy beauty trends and stuff like that, and then would make video ideas based on that. And I think when she left, the other women who also were creating ideas for Ladylike also use those websites, you know? When you work at like a media company and you have to like skim the internet for ideas, they're like, here are the 3 websites we like to use when looking for ideas. So I bet that they're using the same website looking for like beauty trends and whatever. Also, if you're making the same kind of content, like it is gonna overlap. Like as long as you're not word for word, just like stealing over and over again, like I think it's fine. But people didn't understand that at the time. Again, like BuzzFeed's audience is teenage girls, which is lovely. And this is why this stuff is it's so like seminal for me. But fans who are teenagers like will go, like they will protect you more than a spell or could protect you. You know what I mean? More than a gun could protect you. Like I actually think if we created an army that was just 16-year-old girls, every war would be over. Like, they would go to the front lines and like give them a look, give the other team in war a look, and then it would be over. So these fans really went after Buzzfeed because Safiya had a lot of fans because she is just like very charismatic and relatable, and we're like, you're copying Buzzfeed, to the point where Buzzfeed eventually like posted receipts showing that they had been working on these videos before Safiya posted her video. People were pissed about this. This upset Buzzfeed further. Both Ladylike and Safiya went to VidCon in June of 2017 and did not mention each other on social media or anything or meet up. And also on a Reddit thread, someone said that around 2017, Freddie did a Q&A on her Instagram, and when asked if she was friends with Safiya, she just like posted a photo and just wrote no. I have no proof of this though. Like, we gotta stop embedding stuff. Like, we need to stop embedding stuff. It makes these videos really hard because all the links are broken, like screenshot. Somebody needs to screenshot this stuff. So I can't find any proof of that. But it seems like regardless, the lines of communication are breaking down at this point. Then on November 2017, Buzzfeed insults, I don't know, like every time you hear reference of this, they say shades, which is obviously like AAVE. And I'm trying to think of like, this is how broken my brain is, that I think of the slang before I think of the actual word. They like slight. They slight Safiya. BuzzFeed Violet posted a video called "The Hardest Would You Rather for Makeup Addicts." It's starring Ella, who's Hannah Hart's ex-partner, fun fact, Lindsay and Jazz. Lindsay and Jazz, they were like the later BuzzFeed beauty content people. Like, they weren't really in Ladylike. They kind of came in after, but they made Ladylike adjacent content. And it's a pretty normal video. And at the end, they're like, okay, thank you so much. Like and comment. At the end of the video, Lindsay says like, smash that like button. Safiya used to say like, smash that like button at the end of every Ladylike video. So Lindsay says like, smash it. I guess they kind of like reference and make fun of her. And then Jazz says, oh, don't say that. I'm done. And then Lindsay says like, oh, I say it ironically. Like, it is strange. I don't think it's that mean. Like, it is a little mean and messy. My main thing is like, it's one thing to do it to each other. Like, I get that. People are gonna feel a type of way. I don't think everybody's gonna be like super 100% nice all the time. Why the f did you put it in the video? Just edit it out of the video. Like, just edit it out of the video. Why are you slighting your former coworker who is just like really nice? Like, I think that's where a lot of these like slights towards Safiya fail. It's like, she is just generally unproblematic online. So people are like, why the f you going after her? Like, all she does is like mix every lipstick from Sephora together and you're coming after her? Safiya apparently responded on Twitter saying she was disappointed by this, but again, her Twitter is deleted and nobody has screenshotted it, so did this happen or did this not? We may never know. Also, while I was doing research on this is a comment on Reddit that I found that I thought was interesting. Somebody was like, I think her former colleagues were upset, and then this person responds, OMG, can confirm, I went on a few dates with a video editor at BuzzFeed many years ago, maybe 2017 or 2018, and heard that her BuzzFeed colleagues felt like she used BuzzFeed as a springboard to launch her YouTube career. But I mean, good for her. So somebody was like on a date being like, everyone at BuzzFeed hates Safiya. And this is such a petty thing to be upset with her about. Like, to be like, she used us as a springboard to launch her career. It's like, okay, you're just mad it worked. Like, you can't use her for ideas until you work her into burnout and she collapses like all the other creators whose lives you've destroyed. Like, basically every single creator who didn't quit is exhausted. Like, and a lot of creators who stayed on later until like 2019 when the company basically exploded and laid everyone off had horrible mental health problems from staying there and taking on the workload. And the people who left early to pursue their own pursuits did much better. So you're just mad that she's succeeding. Devin also said this in a podcast following the Try Guys controversy, the one that I was reading from before. I want to read this comment because it talks about how management was upset that Safiya left and was so successful. They decided once Safiya left and they saw how successful Saf's channel was, they were like, you guys need your own channel. We want you to start from scratch. So like, she basically confirms that like Ladylike got their own YouTube channel separate from just BuzzFeed, like their own like Ladylike YouTube channel after Safiya left, basically to actively compete with Safiya because her own channel was so successful. I just think it's crazy, like, to think of your ex-boss keeping tabs on you. I know that it makes sense because you like are competition for them, but it's just strange to me. The other real drama Safiya got in was during the pandemic. She uploaded inconsistently, which like, who among us? I can't criticize that. Are you kidding me? So people were just mad that she stopped uploading consistently, and she did upload a crazy amount immediately leaving BuzzFeed. So I guess people were like, you used to upload like 4 times a week. Also, it's the pandemic, so everyone's like brains are fully melting out their ears, running out there. It's like Niagara Falls. So like, I do hold sympathy for these people. I hold space for them. I feel bad for them because like, we were in the pandemic, like nobody was well. But she ended up making a long blog post detailing where she had been because she had disappeared for like months on end and listed a couple of reasons why she wasn't uploading. uploading. The first was an overwhelming feeling of failure, basically stating like she was a perfectionist, and when she fell behind on these kind of nuts schedules that she had created for herself because they were the same as what she was doing on Buzzfeed, she would feel like a failure, and she would worry about a video not doing as well as other videos, which is very relatable. Like, the YouTube algorithm melts everyone's brain in that way. She also says that the second reason was outside negativity. People were really mean about how she talked, saying that she was too slow, too enunciated, too scripted, too boring. People would say that she was like mean to her husband and cutting her husband off in videos, that she pronounced things wrong. And it got to the point where recording a video was a really hard thing for her to do because she kept having to start speaking again and like starting over because she was like, no, that was too slow. That was too boring. And she was just in her head too much. People also speculated about her hiding a pregnancy and commented on her weight all the time, which is actually insane. And then the final reason was just general COVID isolation. And I honestly think if the biggest drama of your YouTube career is leaving BuzzFeed, leaving your job, and then not uploading because people are saying horrific shit about your voice and body, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. Now let's talk about the disbanding of Ladylike. So in 2020, one by one, the remaining members of Ladylike left BuzzFeed. They cited different reasons, but they all kind of led back to 2019 being a hellish year at BuzzFeed, all of them experiencing burnout and mental health problems in certain ways. Chantal just said it was the worst year of her life, 2019, and didn't really go in further than that. Kristen said that she was experiencing health problems so bad from overworking herself that her therapist was like, you will die if you don't take time off. And she tried to take time off and HR tried to help her. And then HR quit because it was such a fucking shit show there that she was just like, I'm gonna die if I don't figure this out. Jen cited like horrible depression and mental health struggles due to having ADHD and being unmedicated for depression. It just sounded like horror shit was going on. Because again, in 2019, that's when all the layoffs happened. The workload at BuzzFeed got to be intense for the remaining people who worked there. And company morale was really low because all your friends were gone. So where are they now? Kristen and Jen left BuzzFeed together and run a YouTube channel that's still live to this day called The Kitchen and Jorn Show, which I think is nice. I like when BuzzFeed people still work together. And the ladylike people, barring Safiya, seem to really like each other. Chantal did social media work for the Biden campaign and Refinery 29. She also was married to Ash, who I mentioned before in the sketch, like relatable sketch section. They got married in like one of the 2016 or something like that. And then they got divorced during the pandemic in like 2022, which is sad. Freddie is an event planner and a DJ named Miniskirt. And Devin went on to be a producer for NBC, Meta, Instagram, YouTube. And Devin, Chantal, and Freddie all host a money podcast called The Money Honeys together, like now. Like they are still doing a podcast together, which I think is very sweet. One last bit that I discovered while researching for this video that I want to talk to you about in the Ladylike lore is their YouTube channel. So I mentioned before from that Devin interview, Ladylike got their own YouTube channel. So they started out, a couple of videos were on BuzzFeed's original channel, BuzzFeed Video, and then they had videos on BuzzFeed Yellow, which was like a subsidiary video channel for BuzzFeed that had a lot of like makeup and beauty content. And then they got their own channel, Ladylike, because Safiya's channel did so well after she left BuzzFeed. And I was trying to pull clips from the Ladylike channel and it's not online anywhere at all. Like if you go to like the Ladylike, there's like a video where on BuzzFeed Yellow that's now, they renamed BuzzFeed Yellow Boldly and they renamed Boldly As Is, which why are you rebranding BuzzFeed right now? Like it doesn't exist, the company doesn't exist. But there's a video that's like, Ladylike's getting their new channel. And then you click on the link and then it's just like a random YouTube channel with no clips on it. And the videos are now like scattered all across different BuzzFeed channels. So then I went digging and I went on Devin's Twitter and she talked about how after the last member of Ladylike left BuzzFeed scrubbed all the Ladylike videos off the channel, deleted the channel in a way that to them felt very spiteful because now like the proof of the work in the audience they've grown doesn't exist and just put the videos somewhere else. BuzzFeed, so there's no Ladylike. They destroyed the Ladylike channel. They scrubbed it. So there's videos still across like re-uploaded on different BuzzFeed channels, but the Ladylike channel doesn't exist anymore, and I don't understand why. It's very weird because BuzzFeed Unsolved, which we're going to talk about, that YouTube channel that they got separate from like they originally started posting on BuzzFeed Blue and then got their own channel called the Unsolved Network, which was still a part of BuzzFeed. That channel still exists. And they sold BuzzFeed Unsolved to Hulu, so you can watch BuzzFeed Unsolved on Hulu. The excuse that they gave for Ladylike was like, oh, we're gonna try and sell the videos to be played on Hulu or whatever. But you did that with another thing and the channel is still up. It's very strange. Okay, now I want to talk about Worth It. So Worth It was formed in September of 2016 by Stephen Lim. It lived on Buzzfeed Video, Buzzfeed's largest channel, and each episode features 2 hosts visiting 3 different restaurants and trying the same food or similar foods at 3 different price points: affordable, mid-range, and luxury, and comparing all of that. Steven came up with the concept when he was trying to decide where to take a date for sushi, and he was like, well, is a really expensive sushi restaurant like actually better than a delivery California roll? And thus the idea for Worth It was born. Videos include $3 sushi versus $250 sushi, $11 steak versus $306 steak, $17 fried chicken versus $500 fried chicken, $19 brunch versus $113 brunch. The hosts are Steven and Andrew. The first episode, like the pilot episode of Worth It, featured Keith from the Try Guys, but they obviously recast him because he's busy being a Try Guy. And this just kind of is emblematic of like how big food content was for BuzzFeed and YouTube as a whole, like basically up until like now for YouTube. But this content like did really, really well. There's like a crazy statistic that like 30% of the social media content that millennials consume is food content. And people liked Worth It specifically because it was foodie content, like it was about good food and different kinds of food, but it wasn't overly pretentious and it was generally positive. So it didn't make people feel bad for not being able to afford these big expensive meals, but also, you know, it's got like a very interesting pitch and you're like, I kind of want to figure out if that $300 steak is like good. And the show quickly gained popularity. So it started in 2016, right? And it won Streamy Awards in 2017 and 2018, like YouTube awards. It accumulated over 300 million views by October of the next year. So it got 300 million views the first year it was on YouTube, which is insane. And it basically became like BuzzFeed's show that they used to like compete for ad space from traditional media. And I want you to hold on to that, the idea of BuzzFeed and videos competing with traditional media, specifically as it relates to Stephen Lim, because we're coming back to that. But basically, they would be approaching companies to run ads on Worth It that would generally run ads on broadcast television. On December 9th, 2019, Stephen and Ryan and Shane from Buzzfeed Unsolved formed their own production company and YouTube channel, Watcher Entertainment, and leave Buzzfeed. So now it's time to talk about Buzzfeed Unsolved. Let's go! This makes me seem like I'm a huge Buzzfeed Unsolved fan. I mean, like I was at a point. I actually did rewatch some of the videos for this video. Like I wanted to, and it hits. It's just good. It's just good content. They have to be BuzzFeed's biggest success story, maybe besides the Try Guys, in terms of like starting a production company, I guess. I mean, Safiya is surely making the most money, right? Because like she doesn't have to pay employees. So let's talk about the origins of BuzzFeed Unsolved. Ryan was a fellow like intern and then full-time employee at BuzzFeed and made taste test videos and basically led the charge with the trying things content. Again, he filmed the first Try Guys video. He invented, at least at BuzzFeed, I don't know if people did it before then, the Asian Americans trying Panda Express for the first time. So like cultural group trying Americanized version of that group's food format. He pioneered at BuzzFeed at least. And he would carpool to work with fellow BuzzFeed video producer Brent Bennett, and they would argue about supernatural and unsolved cases while in the car. So Ryan was like, we need to make this into something where we, you know, talk about unsolved cases. So he did that. So the first episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved does not feature Shane. It features Brent. It's called The Creepy Real Life Men in Black. It came out on April 2016 and it did really well. Like basically they talk about from the beginning, it did pretty well and they continue to do it. Because of its success, it became too big of a workload for Brent, who wanted to focus on the video production side of the job. So Ryan asked Shane to be in it because he was in the same fellowship class as Shane and sat next to Shane at their desks at BuzzFeed basically the whole time. And they did. And Shane joining the content, I think, really like hit the formula, because basically it's like they do supernatural ghost hunting and Ryan is a believer and Shane is a skeptic. So Ryan is freaking out and screaming and crying while Shane is like basically egging on ghosts to try and do something. It's very funny, very entertaining. And this content did really well. Even the like true crime seasons, because they do BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural and BuzzFeed Unsolved, where it's not supernatural, they talk about true crime cases. They both did really well because conspiracy content was doing really well online and ghost hunting content was doing really well online because of fucking Shane Dawson. Like, we don't have time to unpack that right now, but Shane Dawson was doing content at this time where he would talk about like 9/11 conspiracies or whatever, truly probably poisoning the minds of teenagers across the country. And he would also do ghost hunting with his friends. Very much like less educational than BuzzFeed Unsolved weirdly is, where like the things that I enjoyed about the supernatural episodes of BuzzFeed Unsolved is like I don't believe in ghosts, but the history of the place and the history of the ghost stories I found really interesting. So it is kind of edutainment in a way, and you learn a lot. So that's kind of like the niche that BuzzFeed Unsolved filled. So this series gained significant popularity online. It has like a massive fan community. There's lots of memes. That's what this is referring to. It's like, hey there demons, it's me, ya boy. Like just very like clippable, funny. It is just really funny stuff. So that's kind of, I think, also why it works, and their personality is good. In 2018, like I said before, BuzzFeed sold the series to Hulu, so it can be watched on Hulu. And in 2019, the aforementioned hellish year of layoffs, Ryan and Shane leave BuzzFeed with Stephen Lim. They want control and ownership over their own IP. Also, the vibes were hellish at BuzzFeed at that point. And they wanted to form their own production company, Watcher. They signed a contract basically stating that they would finish the remaining seasons of BuzzFeed Unsolved at BuzzFeed before doing them on Watcher. So they continued to do the series until it aired in 2021, which is kind of crazy. I don't really understand why they did that. Maybe it's like they couldn't get out of the contract or something. I'm not a lawyer. They quit in 2019, but technically still worked there as a contract employee until like 2021. So at Watcher Entertainment, their production company and YouTube channel, named after the Westfield Watcher, which is an entity that they did an episode about. Again, it's not just a YouTube channel, it's a production company. It might be a man thing, said with love and light. It's really interesting to me wanting to leave. Maybe it's because BuzzFeed is a production company in a way, but like, to me, the overhead of doing a YouTube video, how I do it, is quite low because I have an editor, but beyond that is just me. I have like a manager who takes cuts of my sponsorship and whatever, but like, I'm not paying 25 employees. So like, if a video flops, I'm not like, I can't make rent. Like, I'm not worried about it. But for some reason, the people who leave BuzzFeed, even though you're basically YouTubers, right? Like higher quality content, but really, if you're making ghost watching content, you really need like 3 people. Another person to film, and then you guys. Like, you don't need a lot of employees, but people leave BuzzFeed and then form production companies and then are like, we've got to make a lot of money because we've hired 16 people. And it's strange to me. It's a weird business move to me. And again, it worked out for like the Try Guys, and it seems to still be working out for Watcher, but like, it just goes against my instinct. So while funding the company, they received funding from Neuro, a caffeine energy gum company, Boba Guys, a bubble milk tea chain, and Stephen Chen, the co-founder of YouTube. And they've said in a recent podcast episode that the main purpose of founding Watcher was to create content that was better than YouTube. Again, talking about when Steven did Worth It, they competed with traditional media for ad dollars. They wanted to make content that was better than TV. So they officially launched in 2020 with a slate of new shows. They couldn't do Ghost Files and Mystery Files until the end of 2021 because it was in direct competition with BuzzFeed Unsolved. But as soon as that contract ended, they produced 2 shows, Ghost Files and Mystery Files, and fans were really happy. So let's talk about the controversy. I'm sure you know it, but this is BuzzFeed history, mama, so we have to unpack it. On April 19th, 2024, Watcher posts a video titled Goodbye YouTube. This would be my thumbnail if I was doing Goodbye YouTube. Let me know in the comments below if you like that. The video basically announces that Watcher will no longer be making new content on YouTube and instead will be moving all of their new shows not just behind like a paywall on Patreon, but to their own streaming platform. And they might post the pilot of a new show on the streaming platform, but going forward, all of their new content will be on the streaming platform. There will be no new content consistently posted to their YouTube channel. They're leaving YouTube. This video is no longer live, so I had to watch a tea spill video about it. Like it was a primary source. But the reason they give for wanting to go behind the paywall, and not just go behind a paywall, like let's say, it's very common for YouTubers to have a Patreon where they post bonus content or early content. That's different than putting all of your new videos behind a paywall, right? Like that's where the issue lies. It's not just asking people to pay for your content to support you. It's demanding that if they want to support you, they have to, which is the problem. But they state that they want to make television caliber quality content and need to be able to fund their 25-person staff, and they're not making enough money doing it on YouTube, so they need to move to a streaming site to make that money. This is a format based on The Dropout, which is formerly College Humor, where The Dropout made a lot of content on YouTube. It's like improv style comedy shows. It's basically like a North American YouTube version of panel shows in the UK. And they still continue to make really high quality content, pay all their performers and workers and whatever, and they post on YouTube. But they have a streaming service that they started where they post more content. So you can still watch Dropout videos as a casual viewer on YouTube, but there's a massive, massive library of content on their own streaming service. And they were really like the first YouTubers, I think. I mean, it's not really a YouTuber, honestly, but like the first channel to create a platform like this. A couple things I will say are why this works for the Dropout. And can work for other people, but just didn't work for Watcher. You can still watch regularly on YouTube. You just want, if you want more content, you have to pay. There's a massive cast of different performers, like specifically improvisers who work for them. And they've been very transparent with being like, we want to be able to pay our performers, so this is what we have to do, which is very rare in comedy. So I think they have the support of the comedy communities because of an understanding of paying performers, especially in improv, to be an abnormality and good. And it, you know, they could do that because Dropout used to be college humor, so there was money behind that. I believe their CEO has been pretty transparent about coming from money and being able to use those connections to secure like high quality content that people like without a paywall or with a paywall. All that's to say, there is precedent for creators putting stuff partially behind a paywall and even creating your own streaming platform, whether it's your own or you're just using Patreon. There's a precedent for that. The issue lies in making people who don't want to pay that feel unwelcome. And I'm not saying that to like teach them a lesson. Through my research, they posted a video recently that's basically like a reflection on like what we learned this year, and like they've learned their lesson. They've got it. They're not gonna make this mistake again. I don't think I need to like dunk on them. They've learned the lesson. I'm just trying to explain because I had to watch a bunch of kind of commentary and drama videos about this because the first video isn't live anymore. And there were a lot of people like being like, people paying for content is in general wrong, which I don't agree with. I think if people want to support people with like bonus content and whatever, that's fine. You just can't be exclusionary with like, the only way you're ever gonna see my content again is if you pay $6 a month. Sorry, there's a difference. So that was the rate. The rate was $5.99 a month USD. And people got really upset, not only because their favorite content that they had a strong parasocial connection to the hosts was being paywalled and they were never going to see new stuff again. They were also upset because in the video, they talked about how they landed on $5.99 USD because everyone can afford that. And I do think, again, the videos that I watched were some people taking this in bad faith. I don't think it's taken in bad faith if you are international. I mean, I live in Canada, which is a okay economy, and like $5.99 a month is more expensive. Let's see how much that is in Canadian dollars, because our economy is not doing good. It's $8.70 about. So when you say everyone can afford it, it's like, yes, I think it's a lot more affordable if it was $6 a month in every currency, but as you go into different places that aren't in even North America, it becomes less affordable. So people took issue with this. People also took issue just with the idea that everyone can afford that, because in the abstract, yes, you can afford it, but a lot of people aren't willing to pay that much, if that makes sense. Like for a lot of people, $6, they're like, well, I could give $6 to you, but like I also could, like I need to pay for groceries, which are really expensive, if that makes sense. Because I think a lot of people, especially like people who was watching doing this, were like, I can't afford $6. And I was like, you are a YouTube channel with 5 million subscribers. Like you can afford this. What we're talking about is people being not willing to pay this, which I think is fair. Also, just no one wants to hear YouTubers talk about money, like, which is fair. No one wants to hear like a YouTuber be like, I thought about it and you normal poor person can pay this. And if you are too poor to pay this, then I'm sorry. Bye. Which I think is fair. I have a Patreon where I make bonus videos every month. It's $3 Canadian a month. So that's like what? $2 American, $1.50 American. And also I make videos here for free. So that's fine. I think the issue is again, like being like, you guys can afford this and there's gonna be no more content. Another issue people took with this was the idea that they needed to charge this much money because they wanted to improve the production value of the videos, and nobody gave a fuck about the production value of the videos, which I think is there's never been a bigger truth. Talking to men who work in like video production and audio production, love them. They're really nice guys. They love their toys. Like there's nothing they love more than to buy a $7,000 camera when a $5,000 camera or a $200 camera would do fine. And sometimes they need to be brought back down to earth. Like people just watch YouTube videos that are long like this to like do laundry to and like knit to and like clean the house to. So the video quality doesn't really matter. And people like Buzzfeed Unsolved not because of the quality, but because of the quality of the actual content between the two guys. Like, it's not like, oh my god, this looks so good. That was just a plus. Really, it's like, it's funny quality content that people like to see. People were also confused and upset because they already have a Patreon that they aren't super active on, and they take sponsorships. So they're like, where is the money going? The fan reaction was bad, to say the least. The video right before it was taken down had 82% dislikes, which is wild. There was like 900 videos of being posted on YouTube being like, these YouTubers just ruined their career. It was kind of used as an example in a greater conversation about people feeling subscription fatigue, just like everything streaming now is just cable, and is YouTube going to contribute to that? Like, and people are like, I hope not. I really hope not. The weird thing though was people basically exclusively blamed Steven, not Shane and Ryan, which is weird to me. And I think there are a couple reasons for this, but I think a lot of them are incorrect. First of all being they liked the original BuzzFeed Unsolved content that was Shane and Ryan. So when they didn't like when things changed over to Watcher, a big change was that Steven joined the team. So they might have attributed the change in values to Steven. Also, in a podcast episode, they said that Steven had basically taken over all CEO roles, even though they're all co-founders, because Ryan and Shane wanted to focus on the creative aspects of video making, not running a business. I think a lot of people were like, he's the evil boss running the company, and he's trapped them and they can't stop him, when like they are co-founders of the company, they're owners of the company, like they can stop him if they wanted to. This was a group decision. I remember specifically when this was happening, there was a lot of discourse of people being like, oh, Shane is so mad in the video that this is happening. Shane is so you can tell that Shane doesn't agree with what's happening, and it's like, yes, he's fine, like he's a grown adult. And again, I want to say with this Watcher situation, I think they've all learned their lesson. Like, this is not me being like, you suck, but like, he's a grown man. Like, he's not being held hostage. People make mistakes, but like, he wanted this to happen. And this was further proven by on Tumblr after this Watcher video went live, and the response was quite poor. Shane's now wife, Sarah Rubin, who also made a lot of those sketch videos, the relatable sketch videos on BuzzFeed, said on Tumblr, I'm going to read this as a direct quote, I get that people don't like to pay for things that were once free, but paying people fairly and making a survivable living while making cool things is hard, even with ads. I think what the fellows are cooking up will be well worth it, TBH. Hashtag, I think some people think all YouTubers have Mr. Beast money. Hashtag, that is not the case. Now, again, you can make a living and survivable wage on YouTube. I don't know where this money is going. The business plan concerns me. Again, I don't think it's wrong to ask people to pay for some of your content for bonus extra content, but the reason people are mad is because, yes, they don't want to be paying for things that were free always. Also, he's a YouTuber. They got married, Sarah and Shane, and people found online that their wedding venue cost $50,000. Which I forget that wedding stuff costs that much. Like, we need to reevaluate. Like, that is giving capital in the Hunger Games. Like, people are dying and wedding venues cost $50,000. It's a beautiful venue. Oh my God. And that includes more than just the venue, obviously. But like, you can't be like, not everyone's making a livable wage when your wedding is $50,000. I think it's hard sometimes being on YouTube. You can get removed from like the reality of real people's lives, but like, girl, no. But I do think her commenting on this proves again that Shane was not held hostage with a gun by evil Steven. Like, this was a group decision. This also reads very like John Lennon, Yoko Ono to me, in the sense that so much of the rhetoric around John Lennon and Yoko Ono was being like, John Lennon was held hostage and manipulated by Yoko Ono. And it's like, John Lennon, rich, famous, grown man, John Lennon, like, let's not infantilize these men. They're fine. I think another reason people blamed Steven is because the majority of fans are BuzzFeed Unsolved fans, not Worth It fans. And they had announced that they were bringing back Worth It on Watcher. So already people are like, well, we don't want that. We just kind of really want Ghost Files over and over again. Give me my slop. Fair enough. I think that sometimes we're like, this is my comfort channel. These are my comfort people. Can you just do the same thing? That's all I want. And another issue is, although I'm sure Ghost Files and Mystery Files are the most expensive videos to make because you're paying for travel sometimes and paying for filming permits and all these things, like, I think that's more expensive. They don't list the money in the title the way Worth It does. So like, it's not like present front of mind when you're watching. So like, when you're watching Worth It and somebody's like, this is $500 ice cream, you're like, I'm paying for this? I don't know if I want to pay for this. I don't know if this is where I want my money allocated. Whereas like, even though BuzzFeed Unsolved maybe takes like $15,000, $20,000 an episode to film, it doesn't say like, we're visiting ghosts at a place where it costs $10,000 for us to get a filming permit. Like, you're not aware of it. And this is also a downside of, if you want your audience to pay for the content you make, you can't decide what content you make anymore, because the audience is now your boss. They're paying you to work, which is why a lot of people on Patreon have a tier where people can pitch ideas, and then another tier where people can vote on ideas. Because if you're paying money, you should have a say in the content that you get to see, which was not built in to the Watcher setup. Also, apparently Steven made a tone-deaf post on Instagram. Again, embedded in every article and every kind of like thread about this. Guys, we need to start screenshotting. The Library of Alexandria is burning to the ground. But on a video by Swell Entertainment, which I will also link in the description because she's a primary source, she screenshotted it so I can read it from there. So thank you. Very vague, but it basically is like, thank you to everyone who has supported us on YouTube. We can't wait to see you on Watcher TV or whatever. And if you're not coming over to Watcher, bye kind of vibes. And he drives a Tesla, so people were not happy about that. He just wears his wealth visibly in a way that's not fun. All that's to say, they're all to blame. I'm not like Steven is blameless in this, but it's not his idea. He didn't trap these two men. I think that people have a very strong parasocial relationship with Ryan and specifically Shane. Like, they are their emotional support men, unproblematic, and to accept that they made a mistake that was ultimately disrespectful to you as a viewer in the moment. Like, it's much better to kind of reach a delusional fugue state where you can assume they're being manipulated by their friend and business partner, but they're not. Like, Steven still works at the company. They're all friends. They're all running the company. It's not his fault. So what are they doing now? They made a in like, in 2024, I guess, basically being like, what did we learn this year? And it's an interesting watch if you do want more information on the situation. I put in interspersed a lot of the information in this BuzzFeed Unsolved section, but basically they stated they hear you. They're going to be more in touch with what the audience wants, and that sometimes these mistakes are going to happen when a creative team is all adult men. They're not always in touch with what their audience wants, and they're going to be listening and a lot more aware of that now. They've removed all mention of making content better than TV from their like business practices, and they're not making content better than TV that's going to compete with TV. They're just making content that their audience enjoys. They've learned their lesson. So BuzzFeed of now. I'm going to speed run this because I'm exhausted and I don't think it's as interesting. But basically the current BuzzFeed content is very weird. In 2023, they announced that they were going to use AI to fully generate content on their website, which is just a mistake. And the only other channel that they seem to really have, besides like they have offshoots, like BuzzFeed India is kind of killing it right now, which is cool. But the only like BuzzFeed North American, the company that is still consistently uploading, is BuzzFeed Celeb, where they will interview celebrities. They do the puppy interview, which gets a lot of views, where a celebrity just answers questions while playing with puppies. And they do other stuff like that, like would you rather, who would do it, whatever, just interviews with celebrities. A lot of their content on BuzzFeed Celeb stars Lindsay, who made that kind of snide comment about Safiya, which is just funny. But again, I was thinking about this and I was like, that was so many years ago. And like, I am really happy that like I was still young when I started YouTube, kind of. How old? I'm doing the math. It was like 2021. So I was young, but like I did come to the internet fairly fully formed, and I'm sure she's learned from that. I don't think that that's what she should be defined by. It's just that I can't talk about everybody at BuzzFeed. They just do fluffy celebrity content. They don't create personalities anymore, which I think sucks. Like even on the puppy interview, there's not like a person on screen interviewing. It's somebody off camera. I just think it's a waste, and I think we should be creating personalities. Also, in December of 2024, BuzzFeed sold Hot Ones. I didn't know that BuzzFeed owned Hot Ones, but they sold it back to the host of Hot Ones for $82.5 million. Why would you do that? BuzzFeed. It's good for him. Like, that's a win for Sean Evans. But like, Hot Ones is successful. It was eligible for the Emmys. It's doing well. It like, celebrities want to be on it. Why would you sell it? Also, you're doing just content about celebrities now anyway. I don't understand it. And again, what a loss, because I think the thing that makes, if you don't know, Hot Ones is basically a celebrity comes on, they answer questions asked by Sean, and they're really specific questions, and they eat hot wings that get hotter as they go along. And what makes the show good, it's a good concept, but also Sean Evans is kind of like Nardwuar in that he asks questions that like, he's obviously researched the subjects a lot, so he'll ask really interesting and niche questions, and you'll get more interesting interviews than like a regular pop sugar celebrity interview. So again, it's like his personality and his persona is what makes Hot Ones work. And they're like, we don't care about people anymore. We're on AI. We want AI to do this. So whatever. Also, while reading about the massive layoffs in 2019, a BuzzFeed representative said that the reason that they're moving away from persona-driven content is because social media is different. Basically, they're like, people used to share content they found on YouTube or social media, like they would email it or send it in like Facebook Messenger to people. Like they would leave the app or leave the website to go to a different place to send that information. And now it doesn't happen anymore. So we can't make shareable content, which is so fucking wrong. It's actually crazy how fucking wrong that is. I would say to fire that woman, but you surely already did. DMs, like people share content in-app now, but that actually makes it easier to share stuff. So it should technically make it easier for you to continue your formula. Also, like, trying content is basically the content that is fed to teen boys before they get radicalized and go alt-right. It's like every single, like, YouTuber for children is like, I stayed in a Walmart for 24 hours. Like, that content is obviously it still has an audience. And beauty content on TikTok is basically shorter, snappier versions of the content that Ladylike was doing anyway. There is still a hunger for literally the content you were making in the past, just with, like, maybe a different personality that feels fresher and younger and more connected to the audience they're making stuff for. Anyways, I just think that's a lie. And I think you saying that the reason why you're cutting down people is because people don't share content anymore is a lie. And you can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me, Carly Thorne, BuzzFeed historian. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Longest video in the history of the human world. I hope that this brought you down the rabbit hole with me on BuzzFeed Video. And if anyone from BuzzFeed Video is watching this, I love you. Not the company, but you. Nothing but love. Okay, bye!